Today, I want to talk about several college football quarterbacks who have transferred and found a new school. This is going to be a part one of multiple videos. Please give this video a like and share with your friends, and tell me what other videos you want to see in the future. But let's start out with some big-time transfers. The first transfer I want to talk about is Brock Vandagriff. Vandagriff was the #1 quarterback in the country coming out of high school and was a 5-star. He decided to commit to Kirby Smart's Georgia Bulldogs, and he would sit behind both JT Daniels and Stetson Bennett and would battle it out for whoever would get the future starting job between both 4-star Carson Beck and another 5-star with Gunnar Stockton. After sitting on the bench for 3 years, he decided to enter his name into the transfer portal. He would ultimately end up transferring to Kentucky and Mark Stoops. And now with just 2 years of eligibility left, we'll look to finish his career there. We really haven't gotten to see a lot of Vandagriff. Although he never really played much at Georgia, and he only threw for 6 touchdowns in a combined 3 years, he was having to play in the most loaded quarterback depth chart in the country. The next guy I want to talk about is Dillon Gabriel. Gabriel originally played for UCF, and his freshman year in 2019 threw for over 3,000 yards with 29 touchdowns and just 7 interceptions. Then in 2020, he then threw for 32 touchdowns with 4 picks, and again threw for over 3,000 yards. However, in 2021, things would go south for him. Although he did look great in his first 3 games, he would get hurt. And then after the end of the 2021 season, he actually saw an opportunity and decided that he transferred to Oklahoma and newly hired head coach Brent Venables. In 2022, he threw for over 3,000 yards with the Sooners and would throw for 25 touchdowns with just 6 interceptions. And then in 2023, he threw for 3,360 yards with 30 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. It overall looked like he was the savior of Oklahoma football, but now he has decided that he is going to transfer to Oregon. He saw an opportunity with what Dan Lanning did with Bo Nix and how he managed to revive his career, and now he is going to become a Duck. I personally didn't understand why he left Oklahoma, as he seemed to have things made there, and I kind of do sympathize with Oklahoma fans for how he left, losing a great quarterback who seemed like your program savior. But either way, he is still a huge pickup for Oregon. Cal McCord was originally a 4-star quarterback coming out of high school who would commit to Ohio State. He'd sit on the bench for his first 2 years, but then in 2023, he'd finally get his opportunity. He'd throw for over 3,000 yards with 24 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, and he led Ohio State to a great 11-1 regular season record, with that one loss being to an elite Michigan team who, keep in mind, they almost beat, that won the national championship and went undefeated. However, after one good year with the Buckeyes, he decided that he'd transfer to Syracuse. He actually does have a little bit of competition with current starting quarterback Garrett Shrader and former 4-star South Carolina transfer Braden Davis. However, he should still be able to win the job. Max Johnson was a 5-star quarterback coming out of high school and would commit to Ed Orgeron and LSU. In 2020, he'd actually start in their last 2 games of the season, and he'd throw for 3 touchdowns, leading the Tigers to a huge win on the road against number 6 Florida, and would then throw for 3 touchdowns and have 2 rushing touchdowns and a win over Ole Miss to finish the year overall with over 1,000 yards in passing, with 8 passing touchdowns and 1 interception and 2 rushing touchdowns in just those last 2 games that he started in. And then in 2021, he'd actually throw for 27 touchdowns with just 6 interceptions and over 2,000 yards. Despite his great performance on the field, however, LSU would have a very disappointing 6-7 year. And after they parted ways with Ed Orgeron, Johnson decided to transfer to Texas A&M. His time as an Aggie was disappointing. His first year there, he'd sit on the bench and throw for 3 touchdowns with only 300 yards. However, he would start in 2023 and would throw for 9 touchdowns with just 5 interceptions and over 2,000 yards. And although those stats aren't bad, they are by no means elite. And he decided after Jimbo Fisher was fired from Texas A&M that he'd find a new home. It would transfer to Mack Brown in North Carolina. Johnson saw how Mack Brown had developed both Sam Howell and Drake May. And I personally think this is a huge pickup for North Carolina and is an underrated transfer. But that's all for this video. Like I said, this is just part 1 of a series that I'm going to do about multiple big-time transfers. Let me know what quarterbacks I should feature next in part 2. Please like, subscribe, and share this with your friends.